My name is Stanley, and today I'll be talking to you guys about macroeconomic prediction, economic indicators review, fiscal policy, and forecast. Moderate growth in 2022. The overview, the overview was in 2022. The growth rate stayed very low and most likely the same. This is a graph about growth rate, and in 2022, it was 2022 quarter two, quarter three. It was stayed at zero. Really through 2022 all the way through 2023, it really stayed. It barely got to 10. It just stayed very low. Unemployment rate, total population. This line gives you the average unemployment rate for everyone. It's a good baseline to compare other groups against. Men and women, 20 plus. These lines show how unemployment differs between adult women and men. Sometimes one group might have a slightly higher rate than the other. Black, Asian, Hispanic, and Latino individuals. These lines indicate unemployment rates for different racial and ethnic groups. You can see some groups consistently raise the national average. Age is 16 to 19 years old. This line usually shows a higher unemployment rate because young people often have less experience. And this is my unemployment rate graph. You see here at the top, I got it says men 20 years old with Black Africans, so that's where I got the names from. It's just the unemployment rate. As you can see in 2020, that's when the unemployment rate, which was COVID year, skyrocketed all the way to the top. But yeah, this is just the unemployment rate graph. Inflation, stable conditions, low inflation. This is observed in the 20 years in the years 2015 to 2019, with inflation rates generally below 2.5%. Demand dropped due to pandemic. The chart doesn't directly show a demand drop. However, the period around 2020, the big pandemic year, which was COVID, shows a slight increase in inflation. Inflation begins. Inflation starts to rise noticeably from 2020 onwards. Peak inflation. The peak inflation is in 2022, reaching 6.5%. Stabilization. The chart suggests a potential stabilization or decrease in inflation. This is the chart that I decided to use. 2020, 2020 was the lowest, which was COVID year. Then it skyrocketed back. Really, 2020, 2021, but 2022 was a very important year. And then from 2022 all the way to 2025, it just skyrocketed down. But cause and effect, um, GDP growth cause increased consumer spending. GDP growth affect higher employment rates. Inflation cause increased money supply. Inflation effect decreased purchasing power. Unemployment cause economic downturn. Unemployment effect loss of income. Fiscal policy. Fiscal policy refers to the use of government spending and tax policy to influence economic conditions, especially macroeconomics. Conditions these include aggregate demand for goods and services, employment, inflation, and economic growth. It's a little chart that I put in. It was fiscal policy, the use of government spending and tax policy to influence economic conditions, especially macroeconomic conditions. So fiscal policy is it just talked about taxes and how it's really macroeconomic conditions. So if you think about fiscal policy, it just has something to do with money and money conditions really. So fiscal policy key takeaways. Fiscal policy refers to the use of government spending, the tax policy to influence economic conditions. Fiscal policy is largely based on ideas from British economist John Maynard Keynes. Keynes argued that governments could stabilize the business cycle and regulate economic output rather than let markets right themselves alone. An expansionary fiscal policy lowers tax rates or increases spending to increase aggregate demand and fuel economic growth. A contractionary fiscal policy raises rates or cuts spending to prevent or reduce inflation. Future trends prediction: GPD expecting to go 2 to 3.1%. Inflation stabilization around 3%. Supply chain issues improve gradually. unemployment projected to be around 5 to 5.5%. We predict a slow and steady GDP